Hi, I'm Dr. Jane Garner. I'm a research academic from Australia. My work focuses on providing data and evidence to support continuing education in prisons. I have a particular interest in informal learning and education in prisons and make a distinction between education that centres around the gaining of knowledge and skills that contribute to the quality of life and well-being, and training, which focuses on gaining skills and knowledge that can lead to employment in a particular job role. Today, I'll be talking to you about the role of libraries, books, and reading in humane corrections, and explaining to you the unique power that libraries, books, and reading can have in the lives of prison residents. The information I'll be sharing with you has been generated from the last 8 years of my work that has taken me into 14 Australian prisons, all adult prisons except for one children's prison, 2 British prisons, 1 children's prison in the United States, and the Manila City Jail in the Philippines. When I spend time in a jail, I interview residents about the role of libraries and reading in their lives, and in recognition of the importance of lived experience, it is their voices that you'll be learning from today. Most of the images I show you are photos that I've taken whilst inside Australian prison libraries. To put libraries and reading into context in the prison environment, we can see that books and reading play such an important role in prisons that they get their own rule in the Nelson Mandela Rules. Rule 64 states, "Every prison shall have a library for the use of all categories of prisoners, adequately stocked with both recreational and instructional books, and prisoners shall be encouraged to make full use of it." The consequence of Rule 64 is that the absence of a library that is accessible to all prisoners places a facility in contravention of the minimum rules for the treatment of prisoners. Because of this rule, many prisons do provide a library of sorts to their residents, but many do not. My job today is to demonstrate to you that if you are looking for ways to do more in making your prisons more humane, you should be providing libraries, books, and opportunities for reading to your residents. As I mentioned, I will be sharing with you what I have been told by prison residents about libraries, books, and reading in their own words. Over the years, I think what I have been told can be divided into these 5 categories. I'll talk briefly about each of these and then finish up by introducing you to a document that will help you provide the best library services to your residents. The first way libraries, books, and reading can contribute to humane corrections is through supporting residents in imagining a different future for themselves. This can occur through lifelong learning that is not associated with a classroom or formal education. As you may know, our prison populations comprise many of the most disadvantaged members of our communities, many of whom have had chaotic lives with little or interrupted schooling and have frequently had negative educational experiences. Being able to develop and improve literacy skills through reading books by choice, at whatever level they are able, will have a positive outcome on a sense of self-worth and is likely to result in a reduction of recidivism. A study by the RAND Corporation in 2013 found that prison residents who had engaged with learning while in prison lowered their likelihood of returning to prison by 43%. Most studies on the benefits of education in prison are based on formal learning opportunities, but I argue that informal learning and the development of literacy will have a similar effect. Beyond literacy development through reading, there is strong evidence that reading fiction can develop many life skills that are of benefit to prison residents that you can see listed here. By reading stories about other people, real or imagined, readers are able to understand that other people have experiences different to their own. They are able to read about the emotional lives of others and to develop an understanding of the experiences of others and to make sense of their own experiences. Reading can also lead to people being able to imagine a different future for themselves. Prison residents are often telling me that their favourite books are the ones about people like themselves, who may have come from a position of disadvantage and trauma, but who have found their way out and created a good life for themselves. Reading stories like these allow residents to imagine a different future for themselves. They can see what is possible, and they can begin to think differently about what their life may be like. They can imagine a future for themselves that they may not have considered possible. Reading stories about victims of crime can also help residents understand the impact of their own crimes on the people they have affected. This can be useful in the same way as restorative justice techniques when there is no injured party available to take part in restorative justice practices. The second way libraries, books and reading can contribute to humane corrections is by allowing connection building between others within library spaces. Obviously, this benefit can only be achieved in facilities where residents can gather and spend time in the library. For those residents who are able to do this, the library space becomes a valuable location in the prison where they can meet like-minded people and develop a community within the prison. These pro-social interactions are valued by residents as ways to reduce loneliness and a lack of connection to others, and as a way of supporting each other through the pains of imprisonment. The libraries are often the only place residents can come within their facility where they have the opportunity to socialise and mix with others by choice. The act of reading itself can provide a way for residents to build connections with others. Like those of us who are readers outside the wall, residents like to share what they're reading. They recommend books to other residents and are able to take pride in being readers within their prison. Research has shown the importance of a social role in prison, where residents can see themselves not just as a prisoner. Readers in prison are often able to renegotiate that identity to being known as the bookman or as a reader, and to use that identity to connect with others and to contribute positively to other residents' experiences of prison. A connection to others outside the prison can also be achieved by reading. As these quotes indicate, residents have told me how they arranged to read the same book as a loved one and how these shared reading practices help them stay connected to family and friends outside the wall. One of my favourite stories came from a woman who had access to a tablet device in an Australian jail that could make video calls to her family. She borrowed a picture book from her library and was able to read her son a bedtime story for the first time in 3 years. She said he loved it, and so did his big sister, who was pretending not to listen. Residents also tell me how when they organise to read the same book as a family member or partner outside, they actually have something to talk about when they have visits or phone calls, as they can discuss the book and what might happen next. Maintaining connections with family is enormously beneficial for residents and their families and can make reintegration a less stressful time for each of them. Another way books, libraries and reading are able to contribute to the humane treatment of residents in prisons is by providing them with opportunities for taking responsibility for their own well-being. Residents tell me how they use reading to feel good about themselves and their achievements. They are using reading to fill in unstructured time, to relieve boredom, and to regulate their emotional responses to their situation. They also tell me how they use library spaces as quiet places to spend time when they are feeling anxious and distressed. Having a place to go that is not the cell, gym, or workplace is enormously beneficial for residents who are feeling overwhelmed by their surroundings. The fourth way libraries, books and reading can contribute to humane corrections is through reducing institutionalisation. I had one man tell me that the greatest danger in prison is not the chance of being attacked or beaten up, but was instead the danger of becoming institutionalised. When we remove all opportunities for decision-making and self-determination from residents, we do them harm. In this situation, The library is often the only place where residents can make choices for themselves. This ability to make decisions for themselves about what and how much to read is highly valued by residents and can be the only opportunity for residents to have the freedom of choice that will prevent them from becoming institutionalised. The fifth way libraries, books and reading can contribute to humane corrections is to provide resources to the residents that allow them to stay connected with what is going on in the world outside the wall. This is largely done through access to newspapers and magazines that can provide an alternative to television news when televisions are available. When televisions are not available, these library resources can often be the only way of informing residents about the outside world and keeping them in touch with the communities that they will one day rejoin. Staying aware of current affairs reduces feelings of isolation and disconnection and can provide topics to talk about with family during phone calls and visits. So, having explained prison residents' own descriptions of the value of libraries, books and reading in their lives, I would like to share with you a document that will help you provide a quality library service within your prison. This is the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions Guidelines for Library Services to Prisoners. This document will help you to set up a library, it will help you to manage it, and it will help you decide what services and programs might be offered through that library. If you're just beginning to offer a library service or you're unable to provide a full library service, there is also a list of the minimum standards that should be achieved at the beginning of your journey in providing a library services to your residents. This document is available online. You can use this QR code to find it if you wish. It's also been translated into a number of community languages, and it will continue to be translated into more languages as time goes by. These are the references that I have referred to through my talk. And I wish to thank you for listening to this presentation about the benefits of libraries, books and reading to maintaining humanity whilst in corrections. Please contact me if you would like to discuss anything further. I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.